people, the COVID-19 pandemic has passed and is not given much thought or news coverage. Yet there's a growing number of people who have reported symptoms that have never left them. Many of them have had these symptoms for years. The Office of National Statistics estimates that over 2 million Britons have long COVID. You may have it, or you may know someone who is struggling with it. My name is Paul, and I've been debilitated by long COVID since January 22. In this podcast, I'm going to share my journey and things I've experienced along the way. My aim is not to give medical advice. I'm certainly not qualified to do that. But I've been gaslit, ridiculed and dismissed for my symptoms, and I know it can be a very lonely place to be. It's an invisible illness, and I just want people to know that they're not alone. Hello and welcome to A Life with Long COVID. My name is Paul Clark, and I'm joined on this episode, as I have been in recent episodes, by Rachel Clark, my significant other.
Hello. Who
brings not only a point of view of a carer of me and my lawfully wedded wife, but also she's got a psychological background as well. I mean, is that enough to say?
Absolutely, yeah.
Sounds a bit ominous, psychological background. She's a professional.
I work in the mental health sector.
She's a professional. Before I begin, obviously you can hear that my brain's not totally in gear today. If you would like to subscribe, I know I say this every time, but I feel like I have to, please do go to lifeoflongcovid.co.uk and you can subscribe there to regular writings and podcast episodes. You don't have to. You still get these episodes anyway you get your podcasts, but it just helps the podcast really to know that folks are listening and subscribed if they want to.
Well, if you subscribe, you just get an email, don't you?
Yeah,
whenever you've written an article,
yes,
or whenever you've released a podcast, and some of your articles are really moving. So,
thank you.
I would recommend them, but I could be a bit biased, I guess.
I appreciate
Definitely
that.
recommend your articles.
Some things are better written than they are said, I think.
Yeah.
Absolutely, you're right. And you can still go onto Amazon, search for Life of Long COVID, the book, which I wrote earlier on in my journey. I'm writing a follow-up at the moment. But that book, the first book, is very raw. It's very much in the eye of the storm, which conveniently brings me around to what we're discussing today, Rachel, because I thought it would be a good idea to think about this journey that I've been on since January 2022.
Yeah.
That's how long it's been. So it's been more than 3 years now. Before we know it, it'll be 4. And I would never have expected in those early days of long COVID that we would be sitting here now 3.5 plus years later still talking about long COVID. And so I thought it'd be a good idea in this episode just to look at the journey really and some of the things maybe that both of us have learnt about this condition along the way. And I think probably the first thing to say is that most of the world has moved on. Don't you think?
Yeah, people, when I was listening to a podcast yesterday, totally unrelated, and they talked about like the pandemic, and it felt like they were talking about a time in history. Like it felt like they were saying, "Oh, in the 1980s."
Yeah.
So it was a weird thing because it's still here now with us in our family.
Which lockdown was a period in history, wasn't it?
Yeah, I guess.
But they're talking about COVID as past tense.
Yeah.
When actually infection rates at the moment in the UK are high. There's a new variant of COVID spreading around. And all the things I read in the news at the moment are about, if you get it, don't worry, it's no worse than the virus before. This is what you need to do if you get it. There's no testing kits really around anymore. You have to buy them. You can't get them for free. But it doesn't once mention that if you don't protect yourself from the virus, there may be consequences afterwards.
Yeah, definitely.
Because they don't seem to mention that or recognise that, which I find incredible, really, that people know this thing called long COVID exists. It's put an enormous strain, I think, on the health service of any country that we're in. And yet they don't advise wearing masks anymore.
No.
They don't, they just say, well, if you get it type thing. And I don't think that's good enough. And it just shows me that we haven't learned from this.
So there's various things, isn't there? There's vulnerable people and children particularly that can't that can't be protected unless you're wearing a mask. There's a risk of long COVID, and it's a real risk, and they don't mention it.
I don't think they recognise it.
And in my professional life, I've met young people with long COVID, and schools were just like trying to get them back to school.
Yeah.
That was there, and I understand that.
Come on, let's get on with it type thing.
Yeah, but they kind of didn't have an understanding of the difficulties of it. And there's good information out there for young people or parents of young people as well, so you definitely have a search. But, I was really sad because the school was really supportive, but there was a lack of understanding.
Not enough awareness
of what that is, of what long COVID is.
Really not enough awareness. And it's pertinent to our conversation because in the 3.5 years that I've had long COVID, I don't feel like we moved any further forward as far as awareness is concerned.
No.
If anything, it's gone the other way.
Yeah.
So for those of us with long COVID, you feel incredibly alone and isolated because everybody else has moved on and they're not talking about it anymore and they don't even recognise it. So, and it's almost a pain when you say to someone, "Oh no, I've got long COVID." They look at it as if to say, "No, we're done with all that." You're still harping on about COVID. So it makes you feel doubly isolated and alone. When I first got COVID, and that's December 2021, which was very inconvenient because I was a vicar and doing Christmas services at the time.
Yeah.
And I had that for Christmas off. When it got to January, I honestly thought that it would take a few weeks to get over it. I thought it would be like because glandular fever is a bit like a post-viral thing where you feel terrible. And it's easy to think that I never really recovered from it and it just went downhill from there. But it wasn't like that, was it?
No.
It was a bit of a roller coaster.
Yeah, because you get back to work and you carry on doing what you did before, but not having the same amount of energy and not really understanding why.
Struggling.
Yeah, you were struggling, pushing through.
Fighting.
Using all your adrenaline.
And of course you go to the doctor and they say you just need to be fitter, you need to do more exercise, you need to lose weight, you need to eat the right foods. And I know all that, but why all of a sudden am I so tired when I wasn't before? Like I haven't put on any much significant weight since then.
No.
And they refuse to put it down to the virus to start with. And I can't help feel people in the same situation now. Yeah. Like you could get COVID tomorrow and get long COVID as a result of it. And people are really not going to recognise that, are they? So it was a bit of a strange process, and I call it the boom or bust cycle to start with. In the first year, I was going to work, putting everything into it, getting tired too easily, crashing, having a couple of days off, going back to work, putting everything into it. And that cycle, do you remember that cycle?
Yeah, gosh, it was hard.
Horrible.
And then it was the worst period, really, because there's the uncertainty of it, like, because you're going to work and then you're not going to work, and we moved twice in the period because you tried to get another job, didn't you?
Yeah.
You were like, well, it's not working here. I'll try and move somewhere else where I'd moved before. So you thought that would be
mentally might be a bit easier, and
you knew the people there like from a long time ago, and it was quite nice to have friends around and stuff like that, wasn't it?
Yeah,
really lovely. But still, you couldn't manage a job.
And I honestly thought fighting it was the best way. Yeah, you're right.
But that was the advice you were given from all sides, from work, from
the prevailing wisdom,
and even the doctors were like, go to the gym.
Oh, even now they do.
Yeah,
even though it's proved to be detrimental to people with long COVID, ME, CFS, to just get out and exercise. Even though it laid me up for a month, they're still like, "Oh no, you need to do some exercise." Like, well, I'd like to know how.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
And of course, you need to move your body as much as you can, but never push past what your body's telling you to do.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
And which is very little.
Yeah, exactly.
Very little. So this boom and bust cycle lasted for probably about a year, maybe even a bit longer than that, until I realised that this long COVID thing wasn't going to go away. In the meantime, long COVID clinics had been set up very reluctantly, I felt. And what happened was when you signed up for a long COVID clinic, I thought this was going to be the answer, right? I got this email to say you've been accepted. You've been diagnosed with long COVID and you've been accepted to the clinic. And I thought, this is it. I'm going to get help at last. Do you remember what it was? It was a 6-week Zoom session with other people. And it was the most basic thing ever. It was about energy management, and that wasn't really helpful at the time. And it was about getting more exercise. And
was it a supportive environment though? Or the other people so kind of tired?
As much as it can be with no answers.
Yeah. And wasn't the person running it a nurse who'd had long COVID?
Yeah.
Or had long COVID?
Yeah, and she was really nice.
Yeah.
And very helpful.
Yeah.
But
it kind of wasn't what you really needed at that moment.
I think there was nothing wrong with the course, actually. That's probably a little bit unfair. What was wrong was my expectations of thinking, this is going to heal me. It's going to cure me and I can move on with my life.
Yeah, because actually that reminds me of your early episodes of this podcast where you talk about the magic pill. Like you say, oh, I've tried this. I've tried every single supplement known to man. Yeah. Q10 or something, everything you've tried.
And that was the next phase.
And I think that was it. You were like looking for answers, but you were looking to be cured. I think that's the key thing, isn't it?
Yeah. So during that, the next year was me reading on the internet that this particular supplement, someone had taken it and were completely cured. Because you always get these. I think it's fantastic when people find something like that and they'll post about it on all the forums online and you're like, this is it. This is it. All I need to take is vitamin D. Yeah. My life will be changed. And
well, it does help you, vitamin D.
Of course it does, but it's not a cure.
No.
I have not had a supplement yet which has done anything other than...
Although you had red krill.
Krill oil,
and there was some left, and I tried it, and it really helped my joints in my knee. So thanks, Paul, for that. That was some
guy, a yoga, and they're always, like, they're lovely, but they're always evangelists for their own thing. So they're like... They told the whole class very seriously that red krill was the answer to all of our problems. And I'm like, yeah, I don't think it is. And then I went away and bought red krill. It's very expensive. It comes from like the Antarctic or something. And they import it in. And you take it thinking, this is going to be it. Why would I think ingesting krill would be the answer? I don't know. But I did it.
It's a kind of cod liver oil, isn't it? So it is, again, it's not that it's bad for you and it's not a bad thing to take.
It was good for you.
Cod liver oil is probably a bit cheaper, to be fair.
Yeah.
But it's like, because you're looking for answers and it's like an emotional...
It's that stage where you're
psychological thing where, you're desperate for I just don't want to feel like this anymore. It's terrible.
Hundreds in supplements.
Yeah.
Absolutely hundreds. And I go through periods of getting despondent and think, I won't take any then. And then a month later, I'd spot something online and then I'd go on to the supplement website of choice and I'd order 100 quid's worth of supplements thinking, yeah, here we go. I don't know how you put up with me, Rachel, really. I don't. But you benefit from some of those supplements.
No. So. Because they're not going to be bad for you, are they? You do just need to double check with some supplements that they're okay with your medicine, though, with your medication. So always best to check with a nurse or a pharmacist, maybe, or your doctor if you've got a doctor's appointment.
Doctors just make me laugh. They go, what tablets do you want that are not prescribed? And wow, have you got time? Do you want a list? Yeah. And they're like, okay, who recommended these? Yeah, so that was the next phase, really. The boom or bust was the first stage. The next stage was boom or bust as far as raising your hopes up, thinking you got a cure, your hopes being dashed. I was constantly in a flux of excitement or complete deflation. And all the time, my symptoms didn't change, really.
No.
And once I stopped work, I would say my mobility declined even more because I was not forcing it anymore. So whereas before I was completely and utterly tired all the time, I stopped having to force myself to work before, and that's when I realised how bad it was. And I just felt like from year 2 onwards, I started to think, actually, this is it, and I need to manage the energy that I've got.
Yeah, what I will say is it sounds really negative that your mobility declined, but I would say that you realised the level of your actual mobility rather than
the actual mobility.
Yeah, it's like, because it almost made it sound like, if I was still at work, my mobility would be better, but I really don't think that. And your mental health improved dramatically.
I think forcing myself to work made my mobility bad. I think it had damaging effect on me in the end. You can raise your energy levels, can't you? You can raise your adrenaline and do things which you wouldn't normally do.
No.
The long-term effects of that on your body, though, isn't.
Yeah, because you were on emergency mode. We've talked about this before. You know, your body was like, right, I have to do this. It's like an emergency, and so you did it. But you shouldn't be doing that all the time, and that's what you were doing all the time.
I was, constantly every day. Yeah, it's a good point. I don't want to make it sound like I stopped working and my mobility went downhill. It's just that I started to recognise it. Yeah. And actually, I'd done some damage already by that point.
And making that decision to leave work was really hard. It's really hard for us as a family financially. I had to do more work, which is not a problem, but it was like there was a lot of change and transition in that period.
The house came with a job.
Yeah.
It was an enormous decision.
But your mental health, just as soon as we made that decision, I think your mental health improved. It was almost like, okay, I've made that decision now.
Yeah, absolutely. Because, two things. I've made a decision and I kind of accepted this was it. And I could manage my energy levels accordingly.
So in a sense of acceptance, even though you're not always, some days, even now, you don't always accept your condition. No. You know, it goes up and down.
Well, it frustrates me.
Yeah. But there was a sort of a level of acceptance which is really, really helpful. So the listeners today might not all have got to that point, but
no. And this is what I always say in forums and stuff and talking to people is you can't judge people because we're all at different stages of this journey, and I'm certainly not at the end of it. I'm still in it, so things will change for me as well. And I have days of being incredibly grumpy and frustrated by the whole thing. So it's not like I go through now with some sort of utopia knowing, I've got all this sorted, I've got my energy levels, got my mobility aids. You know, there's some days when I'm, as you know, a bit grumpy, Rachel. Not that you would know that, obviously. And so as we draw towards 3.5 years in, I'm now early retired. We're living on benefits. We're living month to month, really. I can honestly say that having to stop work was the best thing that I did for my health.
Yeah, definitely. And for the family, for the family as well. I think we would have just, lost a little bit of you. Do you know what I mean? You were unable to do all the things.
And I feel like you've got more of me than you did before.
Yeah.
Which is fine and good, maybe sometimes.
Yeah.
But
no, but I prefer you to be working. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. I prefer to be working.
Exactly, yeah.
I lament that, but if I hadn't have stopped, I would have been a lot worse in the end. And I still hope one day I'll be able to be working again.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. I think even though I've accepted my condition, I haven't given up the hope that I can manage it to such an extent that maybe even a part-time job might be possible.
Yeah, and I think it is because you're doing all your writing and, that your articles are like really helping people. You've had some really good comments. In fact, maybe we should do an episode one day where...
People's comments.
Yeah,
we should. And that's because I can do it around my energy levels.
That's true, yeah.
But if I ever found a job or my energy levels improved, or I found a job that I could fit around it, then great. Yeah. And this comes... And again, this illness that I found in the last 3.5 years comes with a baggage of guilt. And you're always guilty that you're not working. You're always guilty that you haven't done this or done that. And what I've been trying to convey in this podcast is you shouldn't feel guilty because you can't do it.
No.
And you tell me that often, don't you?
Yeah, don't feel guilty. Yeah, you text me and say, I'm at work, and you say, I'm just going to do that, and that. And I'm like, well, you don't have to.
No.
It's fine. What are teenagers for if not to walk the dog?
The expectations in my head often don't match up to the actual reality of what I can do.
Yeah, and also you do a weird thing where you go, oh no, you've worked all day, don't worry, you don't have to do that. And I was like, well, I'm quite happy to,
because working all day doesn't mean you're out the action.
I've got energy. And I've got I sit down a lot of the day, so going, doing some energetic things is fine for me.
So who knows, 3.5 years in, who knows what the future will hold. All we know is that I'm managing it better. I'm in a better place mentally than I was before. And I'm managing to produce these podcast episodes, do my writing, which I hope helps people, whatever stage of that journey they're on. And I know people have had long COVID a lot longer than I have. And, or people that conversely have just started to feel effects of that and wondering whatever's going on. I hope in some way some of these episodes are of help to you.
And if you've got any feedback on any of Paul's articles or his podcast, it's really helpful for other people to read those comments as well, because you might disagree with something, you might have had a different experience, because you've all got long COVID, but it all looks different in each individual, doesn't it?
Yeah, it really does. And share if you can share the episodes, because I know that a lot of people find it via people sharing it. So until next time, a new episode every Friday. Managed to keep that up, which is fantastic. But until then, we'll see you again for the next episode.